signal now for when I'm needed. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning. To them.
Yes, sir. Welcome to Beyond the Bat Signal. I'm your host, Dominic Yanika. Join me as we dive into the depths of Batman's lore, dissecting the rogues gallery, and uncovering the stories of iconic vigilantes known as the Dark Knight. On this episode, we are going to be talking about something I did not even have planned, but it's Sunday night, and I feel like we need to talk about this. And it's, should Batman exist in a shared universe? Now, before we get into today's topic, Beyond the Bat Signal is a proud member of the Batman Podcast Network, hosted by Batman on Film. Go to the website, batman-on-film.com, and you can find a whole list of podcasts that, myself included, that are all on that website. Ton of Batman content if you are a Batman fan. Now, with that being said, let's get into today's topic. It's not, like I said, not something I had planned, but looking at the numbers and looking at the panic with Supergirl. So if you didn't know, Supergirl opened with 38 million after, it's considered a huge failure. And it's part of the DCU. So if you're not familiar, the DCU is branching out. They had Superman. They have another movie coming up, Clayface. They have obviously Supergirl that just got released. And they also have Peacemaker. And of course, you got Creature Commandos. Okay. So I'm looking at this list. Okay. Creature Commandos, Superman, Peacemaker, and I would check those all off as a success. Okay. Pretty much positively reviewed. Whether we necessarily like it or not, it's been a success. Okay. And now we have an X, Supergirl, which didn't make that much money. It got a Rotten Tomato on Rotten Tomatoes, and people are already panicking. They're already concerned. It's like a little bit of PTSD since the Zack Snyder universe. And of course, you got the Snydies that are just, shitting on this movie. And they couldn't wait to sink their teeth into that one. And then we also have upcoming Lanterns, Clayface. There's supposed to be an upcoming Waller show that's in development. And then we have the new Batman film, Brave and the Bold. And, there's even Man of Tomorrow, another Superman movie that's going to get released next year. I want to focus on Batman, okay? And it's something that I am wrestling with because I am clearly biased. And I am all about Matt Reeves' The Batman. And I'm like, okay. The way this filmmaker is creating this film, it has a certain element that is very different compared to the DCU in general. And, the way you look at DCU, you're like, okay, this has like a Marvel type of vibe that's going to, appeal to all audiences, kids and adults alike, hit all four quadrants. And this is one of those universes that you have to watch everything. And, if we see the Marvel model, they're making a hell of a lot of money. And I was thinking about this just the other day. I saw the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer. And I was like, okay, this looks all right. But I got ticked off. Why can't they just make a Spider-Man movie where he's not supported by other heroes other than that belong in the Spider-Man universe. Why do we need a Hulk? It looks like we're getting Jean Grey. Why do we need Jean Grey? Spider-Man has a huge rogues gallery. It's pretty deep. Almost as good as Batman's. And I said almost because it ain't as good. But let's just, that's an argument for another day. And I'm like, I just got annoyed. I'm like, man, like, can't we just have a Spider-Man film that doesn't focus on all these other characters from other, like, universe, not the universe, but like other shows, or, like X-Men and something from the Hulk. Like, why can't we just have something that's all about the Spider-Man universe? And I thought about Batman, okay? And I'd be lying to say I am so curious as to what they do with the DCU Batman. I have no idea who they're going to choose. I got no idea how this is all going to come into play. And I am just really curious as to what direction they go with this Batman. If you think back on the Zack Snyder Batman, I thought Ben Affleck was a fantastic casting choice. After it was all said and done, I thought he did a phenomenal job. Okay? He did really well. I think he was the highlight of Batman v Superman, to be honest. And although it was a dark movie, it was something I enjoyed. I just don't see Batman in a fantastical world. But, that's a conversation. Truly, it's going to be a conversation for another day. That's going to be the next episode. And I'm like, does Batman belong in a shared universe? And like, in general, like, is this shared universe, is it a problem? Like, we have Supergirl, which I feel like I'm like almost kind of obligated to see. So smart on Warner Brothers to say, hey, let's copy that Marvel model, because I want to know what the heck is going on. But then you have this whole other topic of, like, I think about, like, how's Batman going to fit into this? And I just, I'm kind of disappointed because I'm like, okay, well, you see Supergirl fail, and it's like, how does that affect and impact the rest of the DCU properties? See what I'm saying? Rather than, okay, if Supergirl fails, it's like, okay, well, we're still going to get another Superman. Like, it's almost like right away people want to cancel everything, jump ship, shut down James Gunn, and let it be done with. And I'm like, man, like, that's the issue with these DCU properties. Like, I want to see more Superman. I want to see a Lanterns film. But, like, does it all have to be connected? And then I got into the other picture and the other side of things where, okay, how does that affect Batman? Okay. And how is he going to be portrayed? How is Batman going to be influenced in his own movies? Right? Like, are we going to have to see Booster Gold? Are we going to have to see a Green Lantern like Guy Gardner show up in a Batman film? Like, or is Superman going to have a huge part in it? Like, oh man, like, can't I just get an independent Batman film? Like, I'm a Batman purist. And maybe it's just me, because I think that there are fans out there that love the Justice League and love all these different heroes combining to take on these supervillains. Which, okay, like, I was intrigued when it happened in Justice League, because I was like, okay, like, the one benefit is, like, we don't really get that. Like, Batman, it's a totally different type of storyline. But then, like, I don't know, like, it's just like, does Batman really need the Justice League? Like, he's getting paired up with someone like Wonder Woman. He's getting paired up with Green Lanterns. He's getting paired up with someone like the Flash. And then you have Batman, who's just, he is well trained. He's a good detective, but doesn't really blend in with this shared universe than the rest of the Justice League. And Cyborg is another one, okay? But, like, is Batman best when he stands alone in Gotham, or when he's part of a larger DC universe, right? I feel like Batman is untouchable in a way where it's like, he's always going to draw money. and he's the most popular comic book character out there, right? Like, who else is up there with him? Spider-Man. I think there's an argument between who's the better comic book hero, and the debate can be had between Batman and Spider-Man. I don't know. But like, I find that like Batman's survived more than 85 years because he can be almost anything, and that's the truth. You look at 1966, where he's almost like the show was almost a comedy, and then there's also Batman the Detective, the grounded crime. There's like that horror noir vibe from Matt Reeves, and then you also have something where it's a bit more, I don't know, like he's alongside gods and supernatural, and I'm just like, okay, like Batman would fit into that universe, but like, how does that, I don't know, like, it just, so you're gonna see Batman take on all these guys. Is it really that intriguing to see Batman take on Darkseid? I don't know, like, just maybe. Does he stand a chance? Like, I'm intrigued to see Superman take on Darkseid. I just can't see how Batman will be a factor other than him being like doing his detective skills. And listen, cut me some slack. I'm not an expert by any means when it comes, especially to Batman and in the Justice League universe. I have no idea. I'm learning. I'm a student, and it's just, but I just like, does it really intrigue me? No, it doesn't. But then, call me a hypocrite because I liked Zack Snyder's Justice League and I liked Batman's role in it, and I was really curious as to see what was happening next. But, with the rumors that I heard about what would happen with Batman, I'm like, okay, I'm glad we didn't make it. So, like, I don't know. The one thing I love is Batman stories that are solo. Like, I like him with Robin. We haven't gotten much of it at all. I mean, we got a TV series. Yeah. 1966 movie. Yeah. And then we had Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. But did we get anything else, to be honest? Like, oh yeah, the animated series. Okay, I'm just talking about like the movies. But like, I don't know, but then you have like, the shared universe. There's going to be bigger stories that Batman can branch out on, and we can touch upon other comics, and it's going to be a little bit more of a different dynamic and shed a different light onto Bruce Wayne and Batman, something different that fans are not really exposed to, because we've seen solo Batman so many times. We've seen solo Batman in the Burton universe, the Schumacher universe, the Nolan universe, the Reeves universe. What else am I missing? I think that's it. And, I just think that, yeah, there's a big story, but like, there's other stories that we haven't explored really with Batman independently, with Robin, just to mention one. Like, I don't know. And like, it's just, I don't know. And right away, I'm like, unfortunately, Supergirl was not a success. So does that influence the future DC films? That's a good question to ask, right? Like, and what happens if, like, just kind of like what the previous DCEU, where what happened with the Flash, like, people, like, I was intrigued, okay, but that failed miserably, and I think it's a good movie. I think a lot of people enjoyed it, but yet people were shitting on it, and I'm like, well, is it because, like, that was the last movie or second last movie? I think the last movie was Aquaman 2. And they made no money because they were not continuing that shared universe. See what I'm saying? Whereas, like, you can say, okay, we're making a trilogy. This is the last movie of a trilogy. And yeah, they're going to make some good bank. Look at The Dark Knight Rises. We all knew it was the last movie. And yet it made bank. We knew that Aquaman 2 was the last movie. They did garbage. So my question really is, does Batman, would he thrive in a shared universe? Like, do we want to see this? Right? Like, like, there's so many Batman stories. There's 85 years of Batman stories of him in solo Batman. And, you got to be kind of a big deal when you have that longevity. and there's got to be pretty decent stories. There has to be, right? Like, and I'm sure that there's forgotten stories, but and it's not like they've all been covered in film, right? Like, aside from 1966, like, we've seen it's going to be hitting 40 years of Batman on film, but we've only had not that many interpretations, and it's not like a lot of these stories have been completely from page to script to screen. Like, we've had, I'd say a good representation of the Long Halloween, Year One, Batman Earth One, but like just to name a few. So like, and then right now we're having Matt Reeves' universe, which I love, right? Like, and it's an independent Batman franchise that's not going to have any outside influence. Can you imagine seeing this type of Batman in a fantastical world? Like, that, no way is that ever going to happen. But some people see it. Some people ask, like how many times has James Gunn been asked this question where it's like, oh, Robert Pattinson, he's going to be joining the DCU. I'm sure they've had the discussion, but like, that is not happening. I'd be shocked if that happened, just based on how grounded Rob Pattinson is. So, or like even how Matt Reeves portrays him to be. I will make an argument though. Okay, like if we look, like I know I'm shitting on the whole shared universe. I just don't care for it. But then, really, like I mentioned, bigger stories, and what I mean by the bigger stories, I mean Batman would probably, aside from him being rich, which is true, he would be the intelligence, the brains behind the whole, like, beside all those gods, beside Aquaman, beside Superman, beside Supergirl, beside Wonder Woman, and he would be a co-leader in the Justice League. We've seen it on the animated TV series. We pretty much saw it in Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and then with the Bat family, like the Robins, where he's part of the Titans. Okay, so you're going to naturally expand into a larger DC universe naturally because you have Batman and the Robins kind of just blending into the Titans. And where does that all go? Right? Like, we're going to explore more DC family members, and as they branch out, I'd love to see a Nightwing movie, right? And I think that we're going to get that through the DCU, right? And that's maybe the unfortunate part is like, well, okay, we can only get this through in shared universe. Okay, like I get it. It's just whether we want to see this. And it looks like if Batman, the DCU Batman is going to be part of the DCU, we're not going to get these types of Matt Reeves films anymore. It's going to be shared, right? Like, so stupid. Like, for me, this is just me, my opinion. Please don't be offended. But like, Spider-Man and the whole Stark Industries tech, I think it's dumb. Okay, like, why couldn't Spider-Man just like independently do this kind of stuff on his own? Like, why is it that we have to inject Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man into a Spider-Man film? Like, come on. You know what I mean? And here, like, who's going to be part of Batman's universe, or who's going to be part of Batman's movie? I don't know. I think Batman can support himself, to be honest. Like, I think he would be having to support other movies to draw huge numbers, right? He doesn't need anyone to help him. Maybe Superman, maybe. But this whole Matt Reeves universe, like, no chance he's going to want any help. He doesn't need it. It's going to speak for itself. During COVID, The Batman, released in 2022, didn't make like $700 million, right? We're just getting out of the COVID time. So, and it barely opened. I thought that they were going to push. Push dates. So, the fact that it made $700 million is astounding to me. And, people, they don't like the take on it. I get it. Okay? It's a slow burn. But, man, there's no denying that was a good Batman film. I don't know. This is something I really want to talk about. I constantly am talking about, like, or thinking about, like, the whole shared universe. And I'm excited. But, like, even in the Superman 2025 film, do we really need to have all those extra characters? No, we didn't. It was not necessary for the film. But you're building out a shared universe. You're seeing these characters repeat themselves. I don't know. And like, it's a shared universe. And what was it? James Gunn was like, you don't have to show everyone Peacemaker. And yeah, no kidding. You got 8-year-olds going to watch, what is it? Superman. And then what? You're going to have that same 8-year-old go and watch Peacemaker? Believe me, we've seen it. You cannot show an 8-year-old that show. And it makes no sense. So what's the point of having a shared universe then? Right? Like, they're going to be making connections and alluding to and having certain references. You're kind of forcing the kids to watch these films. That's what you're basically telling them. I don't know. Now, I'll close off with this, okay? And I'm going to try to look at both sides fairly, okay? I thought about this question a lot, and the one thing is like, it's when Batman stands alone in Gotham, he can totally do it without any help, and the movie would be a success. It's always going to be a unique experience and something that people just, for the most part, mostly adore. He's one man choosing to fight impossible odds without superpowers. When his greatest weapon isn't necessarily his strength, although he's pretty well, trained, but it's his determination and his detective skills that give him the edge over everyone else. And man, that's what we love about it. He's so relatable. Okay. We as fans, that's what makes him the most popular superhero character, is because of how relatable he is. It's more like, where every decision matters for Batman because there is no Superman. He's the one that he has to rely on. Okay. And he's got the rogues in front of him, which again, the best in the industry, right? But then, the other side, we look at Batman like Ben Affleck. You place him against or beside gods like Superman and Wonder Woman. There's something fascinating. A whole bunch of stories just kind of open up and blossom. That stuff that I don't even know about, and many fans don't know about, and they clamor for it because we're so used to the Marvel model. I'm trying to stay positive. So like, let's look at like him as the person. He's probably the only person in the room besides Mr. Terrific, which again it's nice to have Mr. Terrific in this universe because we as fans, someone like me, didn't know much about him, but he's the only person. Anyway, so Batman's the only person without powers, yet everyone still listens when he speaks, and that says something about who Batman is because of how intelligent he is, right? He brings a lot to the table, and maybe Batman is one of those fictional characters that's strong enough to thrive in both universes. Maybe he is strong enough to thrive independently and in a shared universe. I don't know. Comics clearly have proven that for decades, where Batman thrives independently and through, I guess, comics that are in a shared universe. Okay, one month he's obviously solving a serial killer case, like with Gilda Dent, and in Crime Alley as well. Like there's another one, or he's helping to save the universe with the Justice League. And both have me intrigued. Okay, so it has to be the right story. But like, there's obviously a challenge with this whole shared universe, and we're gonna have to see, like, we're starting to hit the beginning and slowly inching our way to the middle. We have yet to get a Wonder Woman story and a Batman story. Is that going to come sooner than later to help that universe and push? But I don't want it to sacrifice Matt Reeves' universe. That's just me as a big fan. And you have to, like, when you're doing Batman in the Justice League, you have to make sure he's not just another superhero in that lineup. Otherwise, man, you got the most popular superhero character who just kind of gets lost behind these gods. And Batman should always feel different. Straight up, he's in a world where he's working with magic, meta-humans, aliens, and for Batman, his ultimate skill, his detective skills have to come first. So, I don't know. For me, I love independent Batman. Really curious as to where you guys lie and where you think. With that said, tell me what you think. So shoot me an email at beyondthebadsignal@gmail.com, or there's also another one where it's x/Twitter at beyondbadsignal, and email beyondthebadsignal@gmail.com. Tell me what you think. You know, is he better in a shared universe, or is he better independently? He don't need anybody. I don't know. Like, for me, independent Batman all the way. But I am intrigued. I am intrigued about this DCU Batman. And if it's like automatically flops, am I going to watch it? Damn it, yeah. But like, right now, I don't know if it flops. Like, I'm just like, is my excitement level going to be there? I don't know. But anyway, that's it for now. If you have any questions, obviously shoot me an email or a direct message. But until then, this is Beyond the Bad Signal, and we are signing off.